This week, we're heading to a West Coast city, home to the world's first revolving restaurant, first gas station, first police on bicycles, largest houseboating community. All of this happening in Seattle, Washington. I have a very good friend in Seattle, Washington. Now, we are speaking with, I have to say this right, Kaoilani Robinson about the Emerald City. Kaoilani is with the Seattle Convention and Visitors Bureau. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being with us. I love your city, and I have to say I've only been there twice. It's a place that I always think, one of these days I'm going to go back there.
Yes, it's constantly changing, so I'm sure there's a lot to see now since you've been here last.
I'll tell you, when I was there last, my son was just about 4 months old. I thought, we're crazy for taking a baby on a trip. But he did great. And he's driving a car now. He's 16.
Yeah, so, you definitely need to make it back.
Do you think it's changed a little bit? Tell me how it's changed.
Just a little bit, yeah. It's definitely a growing city in many ways, from the food scene to the wineries. We now have 700 wineries here. The neighborhoods are just so eclectic and so much character to each one, but that's really what makes up the great city of Seattle. South Lake Union is the newest neighborhood. It's just within walking distance from downtown. So there's a lot going on in South Lake Union. That's where Amazon is based. A lot of the tech companies, biomed research companies are based there. So there's just so much happening. And this year is the World's Fair anniversary, the 50th anniversary of the World's Fair. So there's a lot happening at the city center of Seattle Center campus. With the opening of the Chihuly Garden and Glass. So you can imagine you need several trips to come back here to make up for what you missed.
To cover it all, that's right. So when we got there, the very first thing we did, straight to the Space Needle, right to that revolving restaurant. So tell us about that experience. I feel like the Space Needle has changed a bit, obviously, in the last 16 years since I've been there.
Yeah, the Space Needle is the most iconic part of our city, and it still exists, and it has a wonderful restaurant at the top. But if visitors want to, they can just come and ride the elevator up to the top to see the views of the Needle of the city. So there's, you can come for the day, you can stay for dinner. It's functioning. It's still it's the top attraction in our city. So it's definitely a place to see when you first get here. It will help lay the land for the area.
Now, another highlight for us when we were there was the market, Pike's Place, and, everyone envisions the throwing fish and all of that. But I think that was everything that I was expecting it to be. Don't you think that's a place you have to go?
It's definitely the heart and soul of Seattle. It just celebrated its 104th birthday. It's the oldest farmers market in the United States. The vendors there are just... They have so many stories to tell, and they have so much to offer, and they are the growers, they are the artists. Just the experience alone, and it's a great place to pick up a souvenir or to buy some flowers for your hotel room or pick up some fish and eat it while you walk through the market. So it's just a wonderful place to experience the vibrance of Seattle and what it has to offer.
Even Starbucks has coffee named after the market.
Yep.
That was a really great experience, and if I remember right, not only great food, great sights and sounds, all of that, but there was some really fabulous street entertainment going on right everywhere we looked. It was, just...
There are buskers throughout the market and throughout the streets of Seattle. There are musicians everywhere, and it's constantly changing. There's a new one on a different corner every day, so there's a system that they have, and they're very talented, and just some of them have CDs you can even buy. So
I have a steel from a band that did steel drums. I still have that CD. So yeah, just a feast for the senses. So another really fun thing that I enjoyed, we went island hopping. We just got on a ferry and went from place to place and spent a whole day.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
Tell us highlights where we'd want to go.
So we have one of the largest ferry systems in the world, and there are just so many islands to go to. You can't do them all, but just from downtown you can take the Bainbridge ferry, and it's a half an hour ferry. You can walk on, you can drive on, and then Bainbridge has beautiful shops and restaurants and just a lot to do for lunch, for the day. If you want to go a little bit farther, you can hop on the Clipper to Friday Harbor and go to one of the San Juan Islands. And San Juan Island and Friday Harbor has gorgeous B&Bs and waterfront restaurants and great shopping, kayaking, whale watching. I think getting out to the islands is one of the best weekend getaways you can do from Seattle, which is one of, why Seattle is so great, because the natural beauty is so close to this vibrant urban city.
And I found that the different islands have different sort of personalities.
Mm-hmm. Yes. San Juan Island is biggest, I would say, in that area. There's Orcas and Lopez, and those are a little more retreat-like. Lopez is very big into farming. Orcas has, these beautiful yurts on Doe Bay and hot spring tubs. So it just, whatever you're looking to experience, if it's camping, if it's a B&B, if it's a resort, there's something for everybody.
Now, one of the things we were listing all the firsts about Seattle, and you were saying the first market, which is, I didn't realize that was the case.
The oldest. I think
oldest.
It's the oldest.
Oh, not first, oldest.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a first. So tell us about this houseboat community.
Yeah, so Seattle has two lakes, Lake Washington and Lake Union, and there are hundreds of boats on Lake Union, houseboats on Lake Union, and it's just, if you've seen the movie Sleepless in Seattle,
yes.
Part of it was filmed there, and it's still a very, very vibrant, very hot real estate market as well. I mean, there are some very modern homes. There are some very old, beautiful craftsman-like homes that have just been restored and remain. And Lake Union, you can take tours throughout Lake Union, and you will get to see the lake boat, the homes, and they're just gorgeous. And you can rent them if you'd like to, or buy one if you're looking for that.
Yes, buy one if you want.
Yeah, sure.
And move to Seattle. It's such an amazing city.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I think is true of Seattle, and you can probably fill us in on this, we talked about the ferries. I think Seattle is a city that you can absolutely visit without a car.
Yes. It's such a walkable city, and I mentioned the neighborhoods a little bit ago. Downtown is a great place to start. There's so much happening downtown with arts and culture, especially with theaters here. But just branching out, you can take a 10-minute walk south. You can take a 10-minute walk east to any of the neighborhoods, and you can walk up to Capitol Hill, and that's kind of where the grunge, I guess, is where it really started. But now there's so much more happening there. There's all the craft distilleries are really booming there. There's amazing restaurants, really cute boutique shopping, and then you can even walk to the Space Needle from downtown. So it's such a walkable city. It's great for families. Like you said, you brought your 4-month-old. You can
yes.
bring your stroller and walk all around. It's a little hilly, so you get a good workout in, but there's also great public transportation to get you to and from.
Okay. So, and you know what? If you're walking up and down those hills, you're earning.
Yeah, you're going to earn that food.
That's right. Now, that's interesting. You had mentioned how many wineries, and I guess I just don't think Seattle and wine.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
It is, and we're second in the nation behind California in number of wineries that we do have, and most of the grapes are grown on the eastern side of the state where it's dry and hot. But a lot of the wineries have tasting rooms in Woodinville, which is 30 minutes from Seattle. So there are over 70 tasting rooms in Woodinville, and there are also several tasting rooms just in the urban Seattle downtown area. So whatever you're looking to do, it's very accessible. A lot of the locally owned grocery stores will carry these wines as well, so you can pick them up at the store, you can pick them up at the tasting room, and you put it in your checked luggage. But it's really accessible, and it's growing. We have really amazing wines.
So I have a question here from our producer Anthony. He wants to know the Washington wines. What's really popular? Whites, reds? What's Washington known for?
Big reds, cabs, merlots, Bordeaux blends, kind of the French grapes. A lot of some Riesling, some Sauvignon Blanc, Viognier. It's still expanding, so you can get anything. Right now, of course, rosés are really in. I love a crisp rosé on a sunny day.
Yes,
so.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I imagine with the wineries taking off there that probably craft beer is not too far behind.
Oh, definitely. I mean, craft beer is very popular here, and it's more locally within the downtown area. So it's there's several breweries within walking distance, within all the neighborhoods, and they're all very distinct, and they're locally owned, and they are just, a lot of them have restaurants as well, so you can stay there for lunch or dinner and have a great pairing of food and beer and whatever favor an IPA or a Pilsner, it's there for you. So.
You got it. Okay, so we talked about the Space Needle. That's an obvious, and Pike's Place too. What else is a don't miss when you go to Seattle?
I think it's the arts and the culture here. We have a really amazing theater and entertainment scene. The Fifth Avenue Theater is really well known throughout the nation. Actually, several shows before they go on to Broadway have been tested in the Seattle market because it's such a hot theater scene, and we have very talented performers as well that live here, and we have the ballet, the symphony, so there's a lot to do from the culture and arts perspective. And thinking back to the 50th anniversary of the World's Fair, there's so much happening in that Seattle Center campus throughout October. It's April through October is the celebration, but there's just a lot going on that you don't want to miss. Thinking about the future and innovative ideas and displays and speeches and films. So there's a lot happening right now.
Well, Kaoilani, am I saying it right?
Yes, you are.
I was practicing before. Kaoilani Robinson with Seattle Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you so much for telling us about the Emerald City, a must-stop place for any traveler out there. Too much to do for one trip, but we suggest you check it out. Coming up next, popular travel deals. This week, we're chatting with our local travel agent about some special group tours to Europe. You're listening to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. I'm Patty Tyburn.